You know, many who have played Space Engineers would agree that learning the ins and outs of the game can be overwhelming. Personally, one of the things that intimidated me the most as a new player was the in-game menu, specifically the terminal. I remember starting up a new survival save, landing in what used to be a gargantuan starter pod, hitting K because the in-game tooltip told me to, and immediately hyperventilating as this fledgling engineer was buried beneath a mountain of terminal tabs. So, in order to prevent you from having the same existential crisis I had, wondering if life is a simulation and the terminal is our overlord, I created this terminal menu guide. Let's tackle this mountain of terminal tabs, shall we? There are a number of ways in which you can open the terminal screen, like hitting K while looking at an access port or hitting I to open up your inventory tab, and once you do so, you will be greeted with a screen consisting of 7 different tabs. So let's start with the first tab, the inventory. To be real, if I got frequent flyer points, for the amount of times I visit the inventory tab in a playthrough, I could fly first class around the world until I got bored of being in the air. The inventory tab will play a huge role in your Space Engineers experience. Naturally, this is the place where you will manage all of your ores, your ingots, your components, and so on. On the left-hand side, you will see your personal inventory, but if you hit the cube next to the helmet, the whole world will open up to you. I'm just kidding. You'll have access to the inventories of all the blocks connected to the grid. Just remember, helmet equals personal inventory, cube equals all inventories on the grid. The mechanics of the inventory tab are pretty simple. You can click and drag an item to its desired destination. You can also right-click and drag, which will give you the opportunity to move a specified amount. To quickly move different items to different inventories, you can also double-click on the item. Just make sure to take a moment and highlight the desired inventory that you want to transfer it to. While we're talking about transferring items, here are some quick tips. Holding Control while transferring an item will transfer a stack of 10. Holding Shift while transferring an item will move a stack of 100. And holding Control and Shift at the same time will transfer a stack of 1000. Of course, if manually transferring stuff into your inventory isn't your style, you can also take advantage of the build planner and the ability to withdraw only the components that you need to build a certain block. To do so, you can hit right-click on an unwelded or partially welded block to add the necessary components to the build planner, and then hit the middle mouse button at a cargo access point. Or, you can select the block that you want to build in the hotbar, look at the cargo access point, and hit the middle mouse button to pull all of the components needed to build that block. One last thing to note, some block inventories have restrictions about what items can be placed. You can tell by looking at the image in the slot. The next tab you will see on your terminal is the control panel. As the name suggests, the control panel tab is where you will find all necessary controls for an individual block, as well as the entire list of blocks that are attached to a grid. Now, to be honest, if you were to open up the control panel on a massive ship, it would be like looking into that one drawer that everyone has in their home that is full of a mishmash of junk, except that junk is interior lights 1 through 100. So, to help with this, we are going to quickly learn how to group blocks and hide them. Say I want to group together the thrusters on this ship. I would start by typing thruster in the search bar, and then I would realize that I typed thruster in the search bar, sigh in disappointment, and type thruster. From there, I would click at the very top of the list, scroll down, and shift-click at the very bottom of the list, and when I do this, everything will be highlighted that is in between those two. After selecting all of the blocks for your group, you can then go over to the right, give the group a name, save the group, and boom! You have a new group that will appear at the very top of your control panel list. To help reduce the amount of clutter in your control panel, you can click on the group, scroll in the middle panel until you see the Show in Terminal option. Once you set it to off, it will be hidden in the block list on the left, completely invisible, like poor Rev when they were choosing teams for basketball that one time in elementary school. I promise I'm over it. To see the blocks that you have hidden, you can hit the little eye icon, which reveals hidden blocks. One last thing about the control panel, you can also change the name of the blocks in this screen, meaning that you can name Interior Light 1, My Favorite Interior Light, and leave all the other ones wondering why they didn't get a name. Now that we have the control panel figured out, let's move on to the production tab. The production tab is the hub where you will be turning rocks into ships and rovers, or making food thanks to the Apex Survival update. Really though, unless you are playing in creative mode, you're going to need components to build all of the blocks that are available in the game, so it's important to become close with the production tab.
Oh my!
We're just friends. Looking at the production tab, you'll see on the left side of the screen a small box with a bunch of different tabs. These tabs give you the ability to choose what you want to craft. Say you want to craft steel plates, which you will. So many steel plates. Anyway, all you would need to do is click on the little tab that looks like a toolbox and cue the steel plates. You can use Control-Click, Shift-Click, and Control-Shift-Click to determine how many you queue. However, in the event that you queue the wrong thing and end up crafting 1,000 level 1 welders, you can undo that mistake by setting the assembler to deconstruct, putting as many of the level 1 welders as you can back into the assembler's inventory, and queuing the level 1 welder again. One quick tip about production: if you have multiple assemblers on your grid, you can enjoy the power of teamwork and put the assemblers in cooperative mode. To do so, go back to the control panel, find your assemblers, and check the box that says cooperative mode. However, you want to leave one assembler with cooperative mode unchecked to serve as the master assembler. Rename it that if you want. Then in production, click the drop-down menu, select the main assembler, and start queuing whatever it is that you need to craft. Now, I could go on and on about the next 4 tabs in the terminal, but you and I would be here for another 30 minutes. So we're going to do a lightning round. Let's go, silly gooses. First up is the information tab. This will give you a readout of a bunch of useful information concerning the grid that you are currently accessing. This tab will allow you to see the reason why your CPU is currently doubling as a space heater by checking out the grid's PCU, or performance cost unit. You will also see the option to change the name of the grid itself, which is the perfect segue into our next stop. The Factions tab. If you are playing with friends, this tab is non-negotiable. This is where you can create and join factions. The main reason why this is so important is ownership. By default, everything that you weld belongs to you and you alone. Creating the faction and setting your grids to be shared is the difference between your buddy being able to open the door to the base and your turrets deciding your friend's brand new shiny ship looks better full of holes. Moving on to the Comms tab, well, the Comms tab is the place where you can see the chat log. That's about it. Wow. And finally, we have the GPS tab. Many space engineers have had the unfortunate experience of finding a uranium-rich asteroid or a spot of cobalt on the planet's surface only to lose the location of said spots. The GPS tab will keep you from having to experience that for yourself. You can create new GPS locations from current positions to mark the locations of different points of interest. So, should your new ship undergo rapid disassembly, you can mark the spot where it went down. Just be careful not to delete your GPS signals unless you are ready to. It would sure be a shame if you created an important GPS marker only to delete it accidentally. Isn't that right, Ayer Builds and Beats? For real though, check out his channel, another great Space Engineers YouTuber. And that's it, we've climbed the mountain of terminal tabs and lived to tell the tale. If you enjoyed the video, consider hitting that like button. If you want to see more Space Engineers content, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to hang out with the RevPlaysGames community, come and join my Discord. The link will be in the description. Remember that you are loved, and until next time, see ya silly gooses. Like a toolbox and cue the stool plates. Oh no.